G'day, I'm Mark from Tasmanian Off-Road Adventures. I'm just going to run through a few of the mods that you can't see, well some you can and some you can't, along the side of the vehicle here and what's underneath it as well. Right, moving on to some more mods. Firstly, the obvious one, the wheels and tyres. These are Mickey Thompson Baja ATZ P3 tyres in a 285/75/16. Now I've had lots of people bring these tyres or have these tyres on their vehicles on the four-wheel drive tag-along tours, and I've been really impressed, I should say. They're what I would describe as an aggressive all-terrain tyre. They're certainly not a muddy, but they're an aggressive all-terrain tyre, which is the kind of tyre that I like to go with, doing the tracks on the west coast, bearing in mind that you need to drive on the road a fair bit to get there, and in between, as much as we all love four-wheel driving, there is road driving involved in getting to the tracks. Now I did also consider going back to the Cooper ST Max, which I had on the Hilux once upon a time. I thought they were really good tyres, but I got a smoking hot deal on these Mickey Thompson tyres, and I've got to say it is nice to try different tyres. I do like trying different tyres just to see how they work against each other. So I was really happy with the Cooper ST Max, but went with these ones, and apparently it's the same manufacturer as well. So I've read, but happy with these. The wheels are pretty basic. They're a dynamic 16x8 steel wheel, positive 35 offset. Now I researched wheel offsets for the Ranger a lot, and I got really confused. I understand wheel offset and how it works, but I just couldn't work out from what people were saying online and on Facebook forums about what was actually needed, what offset was needed for a Ranger. Went down to the local tyre power shop, spoke to a young bloke by the name of Brandon. He was super helpful. Said to him, look, I don't know what offset I'm meant to get, and he said, yep, cool, I'll make it easy for you. If you're looking for an 8-inch tyre and you want them to, the wheels and tyres to stay within the guard, so don't stick out, you're looking at positive 35. If you want a bit of poke or you've got flares, go with positive 25. It was that simple. That's for an 8-inch wheel. So I didn't really want any poke. I clearly don't have flares, so I just went with the positive 35s, and they don't rub anywhere, not at all. So I'm really happy, and thanks to Brandon for that advice, because it certainly cleared the issue up for me. Moving on, underneath I've got EFS suspension. So I went to the local TJM shop. There was TJM Tasmania, but they are actually an agent for TJM. Now their original and their core business is they're actually a Springworks. It's called Leighton Springworks. They're in Launceston, and they own all three of the TJM shops in Tasmania. So when it comes to suspension, I was pretty happy to let those guys decide what would be right for me. They know suspension, that's what they do. They recommended the EFS suspension, so I said, yep, let's go ahead with that. Look, it does everything it's meant to do. I'm happy with it. I've got no complaints. It rides really well. It rides quite firm, as the original suspension did in the Ranger anyway, compared to my old Hilux. Probably just due to new suspension versus old suspension, I'd say. It is a 50mm lift, which is all I'm after, and that's good enough for me to fit these tyres and to tackle even some of the harder tracks on the west coast of Tassie. Right, to my left down here I have rock sliders. These rock sliders are from a small Queensland company called Elephant Engineering. I'd actually never heard of them before. They're very, very similar to the Razzler rock sliders that I had on my Hilux. They're sort of like a winged, they're up on an angle like so, and you can use them as a step. They stick out a fair bit. They don't stick out too much, but there's a bit of meat on them, so you can stand on and get to the roof rack, that sort of thing. And I just really like the design of them. I actually did go to Razzler Engineering and said, hey, can you make me another set for the, had the ones on the Hilux, I want a set on the Ranger. Due to COVID and all that sort of stuff, there was a 4-month wait, which I didn't want to do. Jumped on the internet, found probably 10 other types of rock sliders, but I really, really liked this design, and I was almost at the point of waiting 4 months for some Razzler rock sliders. Then I found Elephant Engineering, got on their website, they've got a Facebook page, and I'm really sorry about this, but I can't remember the owner's name, but it's basically a father and daughter operation. So Dad makes all the sliders, he's in the workshop, he's clearly a boilermaker. and his daughter, and once again I do apologise because I've totally forgotten your names. She does all the bookwork, so she does the invoicing and that sort of stuff. It works really well, and I like the idea of supporting a little local company. When I say local, they're not local to me, they're in Queensland, but they're a local Australian company. They're clearly handmade with love, so to speak. The design of them, as I said, is great. They're rock solid. They do offer 3 different thicknesses of the tube as well. So they do 3.2, 4mm and 4.8mm, I think. I went with a 3.2mm because that's what I'm pretty sure the Raslar ones were. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me on the backside. Also, which I'm not going to bother showing you because it's pointless, but underneath I have a Brown Davis long range tank. I think it's meant to be, I'm pretty sure it's a 148 litre tank. Now, the thing with going with a long range tank and with this Ranger, it has the countdown, fuel to go, if you like, how many kilometres you've got to go before you need to fill. Now, I know that doesn't measure up, I know it's not right, but when I get down to about, it says you've got 5 kilometres to go, I start to get a bit nervous, and I've gone and filled the tank. So I've got down to about 3 kilometres on that thing, saying I've got 3 kilometres to go before the fuel's going to run out. Filled it up, and I've got about 131 litres in it. So I know some fuel tanks, when they say, they're this capacity, they might actually be this capacity. You can't always get, what the theoretical volume of it is. I know you can't always fit that in. So if anyone has a Brown Davis tank in a Ranger that's 148 litres, can you please tell me how many litres you can get in it? Because I'm too scared to go past 131. So, and I'm not game enough to let the little computer to go down to 0. I just don't want to run out. But I might end up actually doing that just out of interest sake to see how it goes. Because if I've got another 17 litres, that's going to give me over 100 kilometres more. So that'd be nice to know. Also, sticking with that theme, and there's not much to show. I was going to film it when I put it in, but I forgot. But I've got the Brown Davis bash plates underneath as well. Now I am really, really impressed with these Brown Davis bash plates. I had in the Hilux, what did I have? Bushskins underbody bash plates, and they were awesome. They took an absolute hiding on the Hilux, and they were great. The one thing that I didn't like was that if you hit one of the bolts, like the head of the bolts with a rock or something like that, it would actually bend the bolt, and they would be an absolute nightmare to try and get out, like if you're removing them to service and stuff like that. It was just horrendous and really, really annoying. I was thinking about going with the Bushskins again. Then I found these, and I actually found out later on that ARB do similar ones which have the same feature, I think. But anyway, I didn't know that at the time. Doesn't matter. Bought the Brown Davis ones. What I'm talking about is that the bolts, the bolt heads are recessed, so you can't knock the bolt heads. There are a couple exposed, but they're right up where they're just not going to get hit. But the ones that could get hit are actually recessed, so they've little circle cut out of the plate, and there's a bracket, and the bolt goes up into it. So no more bent bolts. So I'm really happy about that. Not only that, they fit together really nicely. They fit together almost like a jigsaw puzzle. They just kind of almost lock in together. And they're just solid as. They're made out of steel. I think I can't remember if they're 3 or 4 mil, but there's got ribs welded in there as well for extra strength as well. They're heavy, like all underbody bash plates. A lot of the tracks on the west coast, even Montezuma Falls, which everyone keeps telling me is a really easy track, you do, or I do, and lots of cars that come with me do get a few knocks and bumps and scrapes under there, as well as a track like Climbing's track and also Balfour track as well. So they are there for a purpose. They're not for looks. They do actually serve a really important purpose, and one of the must-do mods for me for any four-wheel drive that I've got. Now you may notice that I don't have a roof rack on the cab of the Ranger. I've got rhino racks on top of the canopy. Now if you're wondering about the canopy, I'm going to do a whole separate video for that because there's actually a lot in that, so I'll get to that later. But I don't have roof racks on the Ranger. Now there's obviously, it's blown up on social media over the last couple of months about different roof rack systems and that sort of stuff. The system that's sort of come into highlight, the Rhino rack system, I had on the Hilux, and it worked fine for years, doing lots of different tracks, lots of off-road driving, that sort of stuff. But you've got to learn to load it properly. That's the thing. Don't overload it. Comes with really good instructions, which spells out to you the weight rating. But that's enough on that. There's plenty on that already. Now, the reason I haven't picked a roof rack isn't because I can't find one I like, or anything like that. It's because I want one I want a platform on it, but I want it to match roughly the height of the roof racks on the canopy. So if I want to put something long, like a piece of pipe or a piece of plywood or something like that, I want it to lay fairly flat. So I was pretty lucky. I did it on the Hilux more by chance than anything, because the canopy on the Hilux was a little bit higher than the cab, but once I put the roof cage on the roof racks, it actually leveled out. So I just want something that's within about 10 or 15 mil. I've been doing a lot of research on that, and every time I think I find something, I find, a rack system, I find something wrong with it. So haven't quite got there yet.